Welcome to Rebel Watch, an all-Star Wars podcast.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?
Yeah. It's organic.
It's like organic. A couple of musicians trying to... It's like the Avett Brothers here trying to figure some stuff out. So
you write a verse, I write a verse, we finish a chorus.
Right.
It's song making. And
so we're into it now, right? I mean, I think this is now... Right?
I think this is how we introduce the show. You know?
Oh, right. Okay.
I can figure a way to break it in. So yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Rebel Watch.
Is that... Wow. Is that it?
That was a simple enough intro. It was organic.
Right. Just like a simple man, a fellow man, something like that.
Yeah. The long forgotten band. that no one ever heard of.
Yeah. Well, we're going to bring it back.
I think one day there might be a behind the scenes on like VH1 or something. Okay. And it's the lost footage from like your GoPro and my like tiny little like Sony camera. Like I think there's some lost footage there for sure.
That would be intense, my friend. That's for sure.
Behind the music from Tato Heads live.
How do we make it out alive? You know?
I mean,
I'll tell you how. Hey, I'll tell you how we made it out alive.
Yeah,
Mike cut across their axis and drew their fire. All right,
had to.
We locked as foils in attack position. So
I mean, there were several gunshots that night. Like no joke.
Yeah, no joke. I know. It's crazy.
Whew. But yeah, Star Wars, man.
Star Wars. Let's talk about it.
We're back.
Yeah. So we are, and we have a lot to talk about. And really, we're behind in one regard here at the end. One of the bigger things we want to talk about, but it's super important going forward. And so, stay tuned till the end. We're talking. We've got our normal Council of Elders. We've got our Holonet ponderings, and what have you. The ponderings this week, though, are pretty crazy. We're talking about episode 9, Bob Iger, and so on. So we'll get to those later in the show. But first of all. My co-host there, my good buddy, Michael Canterbury. How you doing?
I think I lost Jez. It looks like Mike Solo is just going to have to go solo. We've lost as you see there on your screen. He is frozen. Not sure if we're going to get a phone call back.
So your screen is frozen.
No,
I have no idea
this
what's
is not
going
planned. This looks like another Sith plot. So, there he is. I've been.
What happened?
Well, I became the Mike Solo Star Wars podcast for a moment.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, man. I was just telling the listeners that this wasn't planned. This was another Sith plot. I thought you were just holding your breath for a second because you didn't move for a while, and I figured you were playing a prank.
I was playing possum over here. Let me tell you, that's what I was playing.
I think you were.
I was playing possum.
Yeah.
What in the world? I mean, it's like every time, man. We try this, and the Siths, they're after us.
Yeah,
you know, I don't understand.
Wait, is Siths? Is that the plural reference to Sith?
Sith the Sith. The Sithies.
I think we just made that up, but I'm down.
Oh man. It's crazy. I even hooked up the high-speed internet for this today.
I know. Something happened, man. I pretty much just claimed, a solo podcast there. So you'll get to see it when it's all doctored up and pretty. So you got a nice freeze frame of you there, which is very flattering. So
oh, great. That's fantastic.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
All right. Well, hopefully it doesn't happen again.
That's right.
So, I don't think you ever answered. Did you answer my question? You probably did.
I don't even think I heard the question, to be honest. You froze out. So,
I mean, hey, we said last time that you rescued me from, being frozen in carbonite. So
it would look like you were in like a hyperspace sickness. Like, I don't know, carbonite freezing sickness, whatever it was. You were frozen, but you're back. That's what matters.
I was asking how you're doing. Are you doing all right?
Good, man. Good. We're revamping some things in the podcast, which is exciting. From leak discussions to new outro, some new outro tunage coming up. So I don't know. I'm excited, and I think we're going to have some more open-ended discussions with some friends soon that we're going to record and just try to pound out some content because you're a busy guy, and just get as much as we can so we're good for a bit, and so we're not, having to spend every week just generating stuff.
Can I tell you something?
Come on.
Can I say something, my friend? So I'm like a sponge, all right now.
You are.
Right?
Yeah.
I've soaked up all this Star Wars stuff, these juices, right?
Yes.
And you're going to take me on a weekend, and you're just going to wring me out.
I'm going to wring you out.
Just wring me out.
And you know what, as I was thinking of a clever way to say this, but it's you've been walking through Middle Earth for a while now, okay? And I know those Hobbit feet of yours are tired. They're on Talking Token, so it's time to pick you up and put you in a starfighter, and fly through the stars for a while to let you rest and talk about a galaxy far, far away. That's what I'm here for. Okay,
that's what you're doing a great job, because I tell you right now, I'd like to be picked up in an old T-16 Skyhopper, my friend.
That's right.
All right, so if I could get one of those, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. But yeah, you're a busy guy, so we'll get some good content going. I'm telling you right now, man, we're gonna be having game nights. You and I are gonna be playing each other in Empire at War, and it's gonna be a nice, stress-free time, and I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, actually, Mike was describing right before we started this just his setup, and I really like the sound of it. I think it's going to be something that we'll enjoy, that you guys will enjoy, and so looking forward to that.
It's also pumpkin beer season, so
hey,
get you a nice little shipyard Pumpkinhead, and just 'tis the season for pumpkin beer and sweaters.
Is psychopathy not are they not supporting us anymore? Or
we'll have to see. They are. Mad Tree is supporting us. We'll have to see if they have a nice fall flavor out there. Okay. We'll see.
All right, good. That sounds good.
Yeah. How about you, man? You've been busy?
Yeah, just been busy. Honestly, I've got more than I want to even mention going on, but that's okay. It keeps me I don't know, keeps you going. Sometimes though, you've been a little crazy. I've been out there, sort of like trying to navigate an asteroid field, and it's just it's like episode 5, man. Except for I'm not Han Solo, so I don't know.
Well, not everyone can be. Not everyone can be. Yes.
Right. No, but it's been busy. But we're gonna. I was putting my calendar together, and so I think we're gonna look at a couple of dates going forward that will work for Mike and I. So that should be a good thing. Other than that, man, it's like I'm back to the gym.
Come on,
let me tell you that.
Come on,
you ain't gonna keep Obi-Wan down.
No.
All right,
no,
I know I'm an old man. All right,
lifting them 5-pound dumbbells. Yeah.
Hey, it just depends on how many times you lift them. All right,
that's true. That's true.
So,
that's true.
Good grief, been going for those high reps, low weight. All right,
that's right, man. That's how you burn it.
But, man, I will say one thing just so folks understand. I am getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do that. And so I'm like normally in bed by like 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Jesus. That's why I know if I text you at 8, I know I'm not hearing back till
you got to text
a good 12 hours.
You got to start texting way ahead of time. Ahead of time.
Yep.
But, no, I think a couple other things have been going on recently just in relationship to Star Wars. I've been reading Legacy of the Force.
Come on.
Which I want to talk about at the end in my ponderings. Started Thrawn, haven't finished it. I've been so consumed with Legacy again. Yeah. It's brought back a lot of memories, and so I've been back in there rereading that. And so we'll kind of share some of that. And then I'm looking forward to continuing some more of those Legends books. Yeah. And kind of got some secret projects we're working on brewing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But, yeah, that's about it, man, for Council. That's my
I'll add this little nugget. I finished Bloodline. I don't know why it took me so long to read that book, but man, that was a good one. The way in which you're like Bloodline. What's Bloodline?
Which one are you talking about? What,
Bloodlines. The Claudia Gray novel.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was like,
which one are we talking about? Which one here?
Dude, there's the Bloodlines in Legacy. I
know that, and I think I don't know if the Legacy one's Bloodline or Bloodlines. Anyway, Such a good book, man. The way they set up Leia's separation from the New Republic was just genius. It was just genius. It was a really enjoyable book. Read that, and I'm halfway through Phasma right now, which I'm surprised. I'm surprised how much I'm intrigued by it, though.
Are you intrigued? Okay, that's good.
It's okay. There's a lot of storytelling to it, so I'm like, is any of this true about Phasma? I haven't finished it yet. Maybe it's not. I have no idea, but it's interesting. I don't know. I didn't expect to be so intrigued.
I'll be honest with you. I was listening to it with a student. We were doing some tutoring sessions, and he really enjoys Star Wars, and so we started listening to Phasma, and I just could not get into it. I don't know what it was. I honestly could not.
There's a lot of walking on a desolate planet, so it's kind of just, I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly think I only got about maybe 1/3 of the way through it. So, and there was just plots. There's a lot of good plots and stuff, and you've got some of those spies working for, Leia and stuff, out there, doing their thing in the unknown region. But still, it wasn't for me necessarily. So,
gotcha. Well, I'll report back and let you know what I.
But let me know. I mean, I didn't get to the end, so I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes, I mean, you got to finish, right?
Hopefully you get to,
I set you up for that one. I was hoping for it. That's what she said. Come on, I thought.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But what do we got specifically for Star Wars this week, my friend?
Well, I think it's time to jump into then the HoloNet, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of stuff has happened in a couple weeks.
Yep, for sure. I think today when we're recording this, Solo has actually just came out on DVD.
Yeah.
So, excited about that. My buddy Lane was actually hitting me up and asking me if he should rent it tonight, and I said that he should. So hopefully he's doing that.
Wait, did he not see it?
He hasn't seen it, and neither has our buddy Tom.
I'm starting to think that they're secret, SJW haters, that they're never going to watch this film. They're just appeasing us. Oh yeah, I'll watch it. But secretly, they think we're a bunch of Disney shills.
Hey,
so, but we are.
we are. Okay,
so we are. Yeah. Yeah, I just picked it up at Target on the way home, and I watched first couple not deleted scenes, but bonus features, which were pretty interesting. But I'm anxious to get into the core of the deleted scenes and stuff. I want to see that stuff.
Okay, nice.
We'll report back though on that, but just got it.
Yeah, so I need to go pick that up after the podcast. Was my plan to kind of run out and grab that real quick and just put it on, fall asleep to it. See, well, hopefully I stay awake for the whole thing. We'll see. Super late though.
Not if you're going to bed here in a half hour.
Not a knock on the movie or anything. I'm just tired. But no, I want to see the deleted scenes, and I'm excited. Was there any? You said behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Is there like it's not like a doc. It's not like a documentary or anything, is it?
So far, no. What I've watched so far was this Solo roundtable where they got the actors together with Ron Howard, and they talked about special moments, which was, I don't know, it's pretty cool to see their appreciation. They don't go into detail ever about what happened, but their appreciation for Ron Howard stepping in and really meaningful moments that they had.
Gotcha.
Like Aaron Aldenreich and I can't remember what is it. Yennis? What's Chewie's actor's name? I can't remember what he is.
Jonas.
Jonas, yeah. They're talking about those two getting to do some kind of physical activity, like training for their mud pit scene, and how they got to spend several weeks together before they even filmed their scene, and it kind of helped them kind of formulate that camaraderie that Han and Chewie, show in this movie, and what they've tried to build on from the other older trilogy. So that was kind of cool. You just kind of hear things about that. And then there was a Kasdan on Kasdan little special where Lawrence Kasdan and his son John Kasdan talk about the writing process here and what they learned from each other, and how it was cool that Lawrence Kasdan was talking about his experience with the original trilogy and how he really enjoys this, and they'd go to his son John Kasdan, who was only a few years older than us, I found out.
Right.
And he was just like, Dad is a purist. and he is more so like us. He's really deep into the lore and the canon, and he keeps up on it. And it was cool to hear him talk about. He's like, as a Kasdan kid, every Christmas, Lucasfilm would send me a bunch of toys, Kenner toys and stuff. And he's like, it was just awesome having that access and stuff. So he grew up loving it and kind of brought a new generational perspective to those classic characters in this new film. So it was kind of cool to hear them talk, and they sound just alike. But I don't know, it was interesting. And they showed oh my gosh, George Lucas showing up on set, and how cool that was. Yeah, he showed up on the set. They showed him coming in and just offering little tidbits of advice and stuff in scenes. It was just cool to hear a father-son perspective on what is Star Wars to them and how they brought that into the writing, which was pretty cool. So that was,
gotcha.
I don't know, it was only 2 little nuggets stuff of deleted stuff, or not deleted, but bonus stuff. And so far, so good, man. It's long too. I skimmed through the rest of the bonus features, and there's several other chapters of it. So
okay, good.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Like anymore, I mean, I watch the film so often, and I watch it so often in the theater. I mean, gosh, I think I watched it 6 times or something, 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
And so I'm more excited to see the bonus features and deleted scenes and behind the scenes stuff like that. I love that.
Yep.
I'll never forget being at Celebration and having the access that we had to producers and writers and different folks who were standing right next to us watching the same trailer at the same moment that we were. For episode 8, and so, because do you remember that? Like looking to our side, and there's Dave Filoni, like just standing right next to us over. I mean, like I'll never forget that. I mean, he's just literally standing over there. We could have walked over and high-fived him. He was high-fiving everybody.
Yeah.
And we were. I was blacked out, crying on the floor. So anyways, it's just kind of neat. I love to see their minds work, how their minds work, their appreciation for the films and the franchise. So. I'm looking forward to that.
And another item we have on the HoloNet, as we'll just jump to the last one there. We'll come back to the other item there. But John Kasdan, in addition to this little nugget that I watched on the bonus features, he released what he called 53 random factoids on his Twitter about the Solo production. And like you said, you can, if you go through all 53 of these things, which I haven't even gone through all of them, I've just kind of skimmed most of them, you get his sense of appreciation for not just Star Wars, but the filmmaking process and all the actors. I mean, I think he touches on everyone and just kind of offers just his praise for them. And he also gives credit to Lord and Miller and their contributions specifically to scenes that they kept in that were their ideas, like the mud pit fighting scene and stuff like that. So that was another kind of access that we typically don't get, and it felt very unfiltered. If you read through them, he was very honest in some moments, not just with the Lord and Miller stuff. Well, he never really touches on like why they were ultimately released from production, but he gives them props for their ideas and their scenes. But one in particular I thought was strange, and I think he's actually getting quite a bit of like heat from.
Okay.
Was number 4, and if I'll just read it to you if you don't mind. It kind of struck me as odd. He says, "Of course," in like all caps. Of course, Han told Leia the story of how he and Kira broke out of the den of the White Worms, and that's what gave Leia the idea to pull a real thermal detonator when disguised as the bounty hunter Boushh in Jabba's palace and Return of the Jedi. And for anyone who feels that maybe that didn't need to be explained, you're crazy. It had to be explained. So the reason he's getting flack is that some people are saying, well, you're taking from like Leia's kind of her ability to just like come up with a plan on her own to get out of a situation, like her kind of, I don't know. Like
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Say that to me again. So he's saying that obviously Han had to tell Leia this story, or that he did tell her this story, and that's why she brought the thermal detonator.
And he said that's what gave Leia the idea to pull a real thermal detonator when disguised. So that's what people are upset about. Why couldn't that just be her moment of saying, yeah, like she pulled this thermal detonator as like a distraction or a plan of escape? But of course, she had to learn it from Han. And I think maybe it's not necessarily the fact that was what happened, but like him kind of just saying like of course that's why she had this idea, is because he gave it to her. I don't know. I don't know how to take it because it's just written text. You don't know where he's coming from.
Yeah, sure. Let me think here.
It's just weird.
It is weird because at the time that the movies are made, it's like that's just an awesome move. I mean,
yeah.
You can think whatever you want. You can think. I love when sometimes things get too explained.
Yep.
Because I love the open-endedness of like that. I've never really thought about just that one scene, her with the thermal detonator.
Yeah.
But that's pretty awesome if she comes up with that on her own and decides to, and she knows Jabba's going to appreciate that because she has had dealings with the Hutts, or if Han did tell her that beforehand, that's awesome. Perhaps even Lando told her that. You could go in so many different ways. Chewbacca is also could have passed the story on, or it's just a, like a known that Jabba's going to appreciate that type of ruthless nature.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's interesting.
It is. I don't think it needed explaining. I laughed in the moment when watching Solo because I was like, that's something we're very familiar with in an original movie. Like, I get it. That's funny. But I didn't really need, one of the writers coming in and saying, well, of course it was. Because, I don't know. To me, it does take away from that moment a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people are making too big of a deal out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So 52 useless Solo factoids.
Yeah. This is kind of unprecedented, if you ask me, and people are saying it's because he released this because there is no like commentary version of the movie with him or Lawrence Kasdan or Ron Howard or anybody on there. So he just wanted to release kind of these facts about the filmmaking process. So
I would love it. I'm actually gonna, as soon as we're done. Mike told me about this. I didn't have a chance to read through all of them. If you guys have thoughts on this, let us know, because I want to look at this. It's often, he's talking LK, Lawrence Kasdan, and I, his father and him, fought long and hard for Han's stint and expulsion from the Imperial Academy. We felt it was crucial to see him train as a pilot. Ultimately, though, it was always a hindrance to the flow of the story, which consistently felt like it didn't really take off until Chewie arrived in the movie. So, wow, that's interesting. So he's going through, I guess, like the process, the thought process to maybe say that, like, we try, like we are aware of sort of the legend's backstory, and we understand, that, and we're trying. We did make an effort to do it, but it's how does it fit and work in a movie,
Yeah, and it's some people are calling, like, because he references these like, oh, well, we wanted to do this, but it was a really great idea that maybe like Lord Miller had, or something that we shot, but it was just too expensive. There's quite a few instances of that, and some people, those that don't think it's a very good movie, are calling this just kind of a list of excuses as to like maybe why it wasn't that good of a movie. I really don't take it as that. I think it's kind of there's I'm sure a lot of producers or writers would love to just kind of get out and say, hey, we had all these cool ideas, they didn't make it in, but like there's such awesome ideas, we want you to know about it. I think others have done that. I mean, oh gosh, Dave Filoni does it all the time with his Clone Wars and Rebel stuff. Like, I don't think this is necessarily him trying to just save face and say, well, this is why it wasn't as great as it could have been, because upper management did this or Disney did that. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't think this is anything that like Disney said, hey, put this out there, because I think it's actually kind of backfired on it a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah,
it's too bad, because I mean, I don't know. He's a writer. I don't want to say too much here, but like maybe it's I don't know. He's just explaining what he and his father fought for. He's explaining what they were pushing for. I think maybe that might be why somebody's looking at this and taking that tone, like, you know, LK and I fought long and hard for this.
Yeah.
You know, LK and I were trying to do this. So it's that connotation, right? You know, that you guys, instead of just presenting these as facts, like, even though they are, I mean, that's what they are, I guess. They're factoids. So, I mean, either way, I guess if you had in your mind that Solo was bad and people are making excuses for it, then that's how you would look at this. It also comes from your scope and your lens, right? Yeah. So that's how you would view this. I think you and I would look at this and say, that's some neat background information. That's cool to hear from one of the writers and Kasdan's son, or Lawrence's son, and so it's neat. Just interesting to get inside their minds and think about how they went through the process of making this film. So, because it is unique, it's as far as I know, it's the first Star Wars film where that's happened, where they've actually fired a director. Not fired, they parted ways, and they had filmed a significant portion of the movie. So we all do kind of wonder, but I just think it depends on your lens, your your lens and how you're looking at that. So 53 of these things, though, man.
Yeah, one of the most interesting ones, and has nothing to do with it's not contentious. There's nothing contentious about this statement. I just found it intriguing. Number 9. He says Coronet. I think it's Coronet or Coronet.
Yeah.
I think it was Coronet.
Coronet. Yep.
Coronet Spaceport was a name we found on Wikipedia while looking for spaceports on Corellia. We wanted the sequence to feel like the Ellis Island sequence in Godfather Part 2 to give a sense of how small Han and Kira are in the scheme of things and the cruel, impersonal machine that is the Empire. I thought that was fascinating for a few reasons. One being, when I watch Star Wars movies, I have an idea in my head that everything they're doing and everywhere they are is purposeful. They're on Coronet Spaceport for some reason that's going to tie into some other book or movie or television show later on, and it might. But the fact that he's just like, it's a name we found on Wikipedia that was on Corellia. I was just like, wow. Okay, so I don't know if it kind of like killed it a little bit for me, but it was also fascinating. And then the fact that he's actually, and he does this throughout a majority of these facts, is giving very specific references to influences of very specific scenes. And I was like, yes, I see it now. I see exactly what you're talking about, and you did such a great job of capturing that from that reference material. I think that is fascinating. So many things.
Right. Well, I mean, what's interesting about that number 9 that you just listed there?
Yeah.
When you're watching the film, and I remember when I heard them talk about Coronet Spaceport, I was like, that's awesome. That's a direct connection to Legends. They're using the same, locations. That's really cool. Good continuity.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. Because they could have just made up another place that was on Corellia and said it was a different spaceport where he was at, but they decided to, use the same one. The fact that they just went in Wikipedia, that is kind of interesting to me. I guarantee Pablo Hidalgo and those other guys would have known right off the bat that that's from Legends. I mean, that's honestly the legacy of the 4 series. They're in and out of Coronet Spaceport, literally every other chapter. It's actually the title of some of the subheadings or the sections within chapters. So that's crazy.
Well, and maybe this is just very on in the process where they're actually writing the script that they needed to look this up. But right. I just envisioned like them meeting with Story Group and them being like, okay, during this time, like here's the spaceport on Corellia. It needs to be referenced. Okay, taking notes. But I think it's more, I'm writing the script. They're at the spaceport. Okay, let me Google this really fast. So I don't know. It's little crap like that blows me away. And I think that's why I found this so fascinating, because it's throughout this whole thing. It's throughout the whole thing. Right.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to look at all of them because, just to see. Because you would imagine with the Han Solo with this movie, I assume they're really looking into Legends quite a bit, and that I know that they have a decent knowledge. They're not a decent. They have a great knowledge concerning Legends. So I'm not saying that they don't, but that's just it's just the way he worded it. That's all. I'm sure. So
heck yeah. But, so anything else to say about the tweets other than we need to read every single one and discuss them more at length?
Yeah, it's neat. I think it's interesting that he's done it, and it's cool that you have, John working so close with his father, and hopefully he's someone that Star Wars keeps around. Because I think from those 53 random facts and those tweets, it does at least show me that he cares. He cares a lot, and that he wants to do this the right way, and he's invested, and he knows that hopefully he'll have the chance to kind of do some more work with Star Wars and continue to kind of further the Kasdan influence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a weight that he's going to carry. So when he works on Star Wars films.
Absolutely. And I don't think it will be their last. And he gives nods to that too. He's like, yeah, there's some really cool stuff there. I hope you get to learn more about Han and Kira's like departure and why and what comes of that. There's more story to tell, definitely. Whether we'll get it or not, who knows? But he definitely wants it. And something you learn that's cool in these special bonus features, when they're doing the Kasdan on Kasdan, I guess Disney hit up Lawrence Kasdan and said, hey, we want you back in the Star Wars universe. If you could do a story on someone, who would it be? And he's like, hands down, Han Solo.
Wow.
Like, it was his idea. That's what he wanted to write, which I didn't know that. I thought maybe Disney pitched the idea and said, do you want to write a Solo? And they said, what do you want to write? And he's like, I love everyone. I really am fascinated by Luke Skywalker. I was obsessed with Alec Guinness, but I connected with Han Solo. And I thought that was cool.
I think he was in charge. I think he had a special relationship with Han and Harrison in the originals. I think that was sort of his forte, knowing where he was coming from, his influences, and trying to feed the actors some of that. You know what I'm saying? So I think in his mind he had impressions of who Han Solo was, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't really make the connection. I'm sure if I would have thought about it, I would have realized it. But I guess he was writing Raiders of the Lost Ark, and George hit him up and said, hey, need you to do some Star Wars stuff. And so he kind of, I mean, Harrison Ford in both of these films is a very, I don't know. There's something very similar about the characters to me. And so that writing probably was just very natural for him and the character. And in the roundtable discussion, Ron Howard says that a lot of the Solo character is attributed, like people say, oh, I mean, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. Yeah, but Harrison Ford himself said George Lucas created this guy. Like he is the one who created Han Solo. So this Alden kid can do it. Like,
right.
I wasn't just the character. Someone else created it. I just offered my little 2 cents, and someone else is going to do the same thing. So there's a lot of influence over these characters, and now you have a new Kasdan perspective, like I talked about earlier with you. It's just interesting, man. It's a generational like passing of the torch almost. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is really neat. I'm glad. I'm glad we have it. I honestly, I'm looking forward to reading more from John, and hope he sticks around. So,
absolutely. Last item on the HoloNet, as it's we're getting to that time, my friend. It's episode 9 rumors, episode 9 leaks, maybe. We try not to go down the rumor mill, but I gotta tell you, I'm parched and I'm deprived of Star Wars right now. So
come on.
Sometimes you gotta read it. But some of them out. One of the big ones out there right now is a Snoke theory, and there's some evidence to support it. Man. A bunch of the Hollywood Hollywood Reporter and all these other agencies. He's back. They're saying he's back in some form, whether he's a flashback,
Snoke is back,
or Snoke is returning. Maybe not likely, but they have evidence pointing to Andy Serkis canceling an appearance at a Comic-Con convention or a comic convention due to a scheduling conflict. And apparently that's been kind of a common theme going on with some of the new cast in Star Wars. People are making the connections, the timing's right. People want more Snoke. They want to know the backstory. So will we have flashbacks? There's not many. There have never been many flashbacks in Star Wars, but Last Jedi did it.
It did. It absolutely did.
The Force Awakens did it. So why wouldn't this one do it too? So what do you think, Ez? What do you think? I mean, are we going to see old Snoke, Papa Snoke himself, or?
I think we're going to hear him. I definitely think we're going to hear him. I think he's going to. It kind of reminds me of like in the old Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy there, whenever Mara Jade was kind of going past the spot where the second Death Star was destroyed, she often heard Palpatine speaking and calling to her. So I kind of feel like it's that type of impression that's left there in the Force. It's such a dark side user, or someone who commanded so much of the Force that they do leave some sort of imprint or impression, maybe in a spot or what have you. That's why all those dark side users are in the valley there on Korriban. They have that just all the ancient Sith lords there who kind of like haunt, and Yoda comes across who was it? Oh gosh, it wasn't Darth Bane. Comes across Bane in the old Clone Wars series. So I mean, it could be something like that where he comes back and is sort of dancing around haunting somebody or giving advice, or maybe if Luke is going to be that Force ghost that I hope and know that he will be, then Snoke might be able to do something similar.
We've never seen that in Star Wars. That would be, at least in canon, we've never seen really a dark side user come back as a ghost. Not even really a voice, have we? I mean, Kylo's talking. He thinks he's communicating or something with Vader, which is probably just Snoke. But
right. The only thing we might have had was in the Force Awakens in her vision, when I think people have everyone was just literally nitpicking that scene to see who was influencing her. You heard Obi-Wan, you heard old Sir Alec Guinness, you heard Yoda, you heard what they thought was Palpatine in there. Remember that? They thought they heard Palpatine, and so it's like, wait a second, what? So I think you're right that we haven't never seen the equivalent of a Force ghost on the dark side come to the screen. Yeah. So the only way I can think about in Legends, a way in which it would happen is possession. Sort of like I think there's the times where the spirit has possessed. A lot of times the dark side spirits were bound to a place. They were confined somewhere, and so once they were disturbed, or some of their spirit and their essence, went into a holocron or something like that. So that could be something that we might see. I don't know. I'd be real interested to see how they bring Snoke back.
I definite flashbacks. Show us
flashbacks. Sure.
Him cultivating Kylo Ren.
Right.
Show me that manipulation. Show me I don't know. I kind of see him as almost like a Palpatine. Show me a younger or I don't know, him Force projecting himself as a complete humanoid who doesn't look all messed up, and he's friends with the Solos, or somehow knows them, or is acquaintances.
Oh, here we go.
What I'm saying? They know. Show me those scenes. Maybe maybe they did something with that they took out of The Force Awakens, and that maybe could be our Carrie Fisher scene.
Sure.
I just, that to me has to happen. People are hungry for it.
Right. I like where your head's at, because one of the things I was thinking is that in a flashback scene, imagine Luke Skywalker is walking and he's talking to someone, and that someone
full robes
is revealed to be Snoke. I mean, just imagine that for a second. Imagine he's walking through a temple, and perhaps Snoke says to him, is talking to him, seeking advice, calling him Master Skywalker. I mean, just imagine.
That would be. I think
gives me chills to think about it.
And it does, because that's what I think those moments the prequels did so well with Palpatine. Being surrounded by these heroes and cloaking himself. And I think with different writers and different execution, I could see a bring in more so of Andy Serkis. Don't just screen capture his face so much. Make him shoot it to where we can actually have Andy Serkis more so, maybe with a little manipulation to make him look a little more like Snoke, but give him some more opportunity, to have scenes like that. I feel like they could. I don't know. I want it so bad. I want to see Luke and Leia deceived. I just do. What turned Ben Solo? It wasn't just that moment with Luke, because Luke said, I was in his mind. He was long gone. He was long gone.
Right.
So what happened? Tell me. Show me. Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. I know. I don't really know, my friend. I'm very, very much intrigued to continue this discussion, to think about the ways in which I believe that they're going to do something epic with Luke Skywalker once again.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether it's just in conversation and it's some epic reveal. I tell you what, some of the best moments, I've heard this multiple times from people from The Last Jedi, is when Yoda is speaking to Luke. Mm-hmm. And some of my favorite moments in Episode 5 are when Yoda is speaking to Luke. Yep. And even in 6, and just sort of talking about the Force and revealing some of those mysteries. I mean, without raising a lightsaber or anything, Luke Skywalker can be one of the most important characters again in Episode 9. And I really hope they're thinking, they're already filming, so they didn't ask my opinion. But, or did they?
And
or are we?
You are shrouding
You wonder why I'm so busy?
Secrecy.
You wonder why I'm so busy?
You've been in London, USOB.
But... you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think there's ways to do that. I know, because we even talked last time about the idea of there being, one of Master Skywalker's, apprentices or other masters at the temple. So I don't think we got the full scope of what his academy was or would have been.
No, but we have more information on that than we do Snoke, or what Snoke's theology is, or what it is that he obviously seeks power, but what is his history? I don't feel like we can go through this entire trilogy without knowing more of that, because in my opinion, Kylo's going to be epic in this movie. So to come back 5 years from now in maybe another Skywalker installment and to talk about Snoke and his why? Tell me why Ben Solo is where he is, and that's we need it now. We just need it now. I think it would make him a more epic villain, and we
really, go ahead. But we really don't know how he fell to the dark side, do we?
No. Everyone's saying Luke, dude, he was gone. He was gone.
Mike, you're onto something, okay? Because in the originals, you just knew that. Again, I guess in that, because see, we're never going to go back and get backstory on, Ben Solo's fall to the dark side. You know what I'm saying?
Like the prequels, we're not going to get that.
We're not going to get that. I don't ever foresee that happening.
Nope.
Maybe in novels or something, if they decide years from now or something to do something with it. But I don't think anyone's going to go back and do that. And so to me, they might actually have to answer that question. They didn't really need to with Darth Vader. It was just sort of that, like, he fell to the dark side, you know, and it's really neat when we get 1, 2, and 3 because we learn about his motivations, you know, why he did it. I'm reading in Legends, and that's what all the characters are sort of like thinking back on is why did Anakin Skywalker, you know, fall to the dark side? What were his motivations? Why was he doing that? Yeah. And it came from a place of like to protect and to save someone that he loved, and then he was manipulated. So we've heard Leia say that you know, it was Snoke, is what she says. You know, Snoke, you know, turned him to the dark side. You know, and Luke feels like he failed and like he lost him to Snoke. And so, was Snoke just able to turn him from afar? No way.
No way.
There had to be a closer tie. He had to be near him and have the ability to, I even say, physically touch him and talk with him, you know, to convince him to turn. You know, that's just sort of my thing there. So we don't need to know everything, but I think one of the epic reveals could be that he did turn for some great reason, you know, or something, and that he's on some really like he has to believe in the dark side.
Yeah,
you know,
he has to believe in what Vader was seeking, whatever it was. I mean, he still thinks that his grandfather ended as Darth Vader. So there's that whole. That's what I loved about Bloodlines. You hear Leia saying, you know, Casterfo, you didn't even let me tell my son. Like, you didn't even give me that chance to do that. Now he's going to find out from the galaxy.
Right.
Show me that moment. Show it to me. Like, I have to see it.
Hey, real quick on that. Do you remember at the end of Bloodlines, like, sort of, was there ever any more communication with with Luke and the Academy? Remember how it was distorted? They couldn't get through?
Yeah, she I don't even know if I remember that. It's just like she intended to tell him, and she tells Casterfo that, like, when the time was right, and he's like you waited 16 years or however long it has been, like, and you didn't tell him, you weren't going to, like, so I don't even know. She had written him something, I think, right?
Yep.
She had written him something to send, and I can't remember how that ended, man. I cannot remember.
Well, I'm going to look it up real quick, but I was just trying to think back to, you know, why I knew she had trouble getting a hold of the Academy. But at that time, I don't believe...
Everything should have been fine at that point, I think.
You would think. But they were losing communication, and she hadn't been able to get through in a while.
I mean, that could have been Snoke, too. Snoke could have been playing to that. You know, your family obviously, you know, doesn't think that they think you're lost, and that's why they've sent you to Luke, and they need to show that. They need to show that. It's not. I don't think it's he's lost someone that he loves. It's not the Anakin Skywalker story. It's bigger than that. It's not just that his father was a deadbeat dad. It's bigger than that. I mean, I don't know. But and you know what tells me is that they are going there, that they intended to explain this in this trilogy, and they intend on explaining it still, is that they brought J.J. Abrams back.
Right.
To actually, we enjoy The Last Jedi. It didn't go the way anyone expected. I think Lucasfilm and Disney generally like the movie, but they hear the reaction. They know people want answers. And JJ, I think, intended to give them answers, because I think originally he was going to do all 3 movies, right? That was the intention, I think, in the beginning.
Well, I've been confused on that really quickly, because why? I've heard different things, and so if someone's listening and they can tell us, you know, the truth here, I heard that they wanted to do a different director each, you know, installment, and that was their way to kind of like show off, like, to be more diverse and things like that. But I'm sort of like, why?
Yeah.
You know, like, you know what you're setting up, and then you have to go explain all of those nuances and those little reasons. And I just imagine if you're making a trilogy and like in the moment when you're directing the second film, you're like, oh man, we did this that one time, and there was this one way in which we shot this that would
Yeah.
Tie these two together. I don't know. It just kind of baffled me. I mean, not that I dislike Rian Johnson's. I love The Last Jedi. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But boy, I wonder how different it would have been with JJ.
It wasn't as cohesive, I think, as we all expected.
Mm-hmm.
We were excited. We were like, yeah, and then Colin Trevorrow was supposed to do the third one, and yeah, that's cool. But I think we all were all for it to get, like you said, a different perspective and to make different movies. But I think we all now are like, no, we need a little more like it needed to continue the story. It needed to feel like a cohesive story, and it doesn't when you're bringing someone else's idea of what Star Wars is or what this story is. It just, I don't know. They needed to have an idea of where they wanted to go, and it just kind of showed that they really don't have that, in my opinion. So I don't know, man. It has to be explained. This is a pondering. Right. I don't even know why this is in the HoloNet, but this is a pondering.
Well, because it was the news was that Snoke, or that Andy Serkis is not showing up.
That's true. That's true. Can I throw something else at you then? When we're talking about the villains, and there's another chirping on the HoloNet that there's a theory or a rumor that General Hux will attempt to turn on Kylo and become this kind of manipulative villain. I don't feel like that's possible now.
Right.
With the way he was portrayed, especially in The Last Jedi. So I wanted to get your thoughts. Would it be possible for them to not make Hux a hero, but to make him, at this point, be able to manipulate Kylo Ren into ultimately hoping that Kylo Ren will fail or something? What do you think?
Can they do that right now with Hux?
Should they, or could they, or will they?
No.
He's a lost character, right?
I just think, yeah. I'm actually surprised that they kept him. One of the cool things that they did in the originals to make it seem so much more vast and bigger, they had various admirals, various captains, coming and going, and Vader taking them out, which was dark, And so I get that Disney has taken this over, but I don't know. I don't see how they can make him that type of character. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he can. He's getting thrown around by Snoke. He's getting tossed around by Kylo.
He was made a fool at the beginning of the movie.
By Poe, yeah. I mean, that's tough for me to see. So
the only one thing I've heard that may make it seem plausible is that a lot of people witnessed Kylo Ren failing on Crate. Kind of getting owned by Luke Skywalker, allowing the resistance to escape. He was kind of made a fool. He allowed the Supreme Leader to be killed by, as Snoke calls, a girl who never wielded a lightsaber.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't. Are these people going to support him? I mean, he seems to be only one of the actual Force wielders in the First Order, so I feel like they kind of have to, or he'll just kind of go Haas on them. But I don't know. Yeah. Are they going to respect him? Is he going to kind of do his own thing and then seek more power via another means of the Force or something? I don't know.
Yeah, because the thing with Hux is that he's not like a Thrawn. If there was some military commander like Thrawn, who is, I love reading about him because he is the way in which his mind works. He can outsmart a Jedi essentially.
Yeah.
And just uses a very different way of thinking, and so. Yeah, and there's more respect. You almost like that villain. It's so crazy with Thrawn that he's air quote a villain who we can kind of root for. We're like, oh, it's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's not. I wish they would have done that with Hux a little bit more, but
they could.
He just seems like a rag doll. And honestly, Mike, now if they were to switch face here and for him to be all of a sudden some real devious, trickster and stuff, he had a couple cool tricks up his sleeve there, and he had he had him tied on a string, and was able to kind of had some new technology and stuff, but he just doesn't seem that smart and that great of a tactician and stuff, you know? So I don't know.
In the beginning, maybe with The Force Awakens, like, I don't know, big, you know, powerful leader. He has those moments. He destroyed, I mean, give him credit for destroying the New Republic single-handedly with the you know, the third Death Star.
Right.
But like you said, with the tying him on the string spiel, that could have been great. He still could have been looked at as this, you know, great tactician, but he's made a fool of, and I can't get around that in the beginning of the movie. It's funny, but like, you made him a fool.
Right.
And you make him a fool at the end of it too by getting thrown around by Kylo Ren. In Force Awakens, I could somewhat relate him to Tarkin.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkin he has a lot of presence, but he's not someone that you can almost like understand like Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
So he's someone I thought could relate to Hux, but not now. Not now.
Well, and here's the thing with Tarkin is that Tarkin was one of those governors who had a whole, you know, system at his back, and so you don't mess with that guy and try to take him on. Also, he's a proven, you know, kind of at one point he was, you know, working in the Clone Wars and things, and so he had that. I don't know. He wasn't one of the Imperials who in the originals would approach Vader and be scared. One of the best things that they could do in Episode 9 is for them to take Hux and for him to walk into a room with Kylo Ren and be scared out of his mind.
Yeah. To
be absolutely scared, because the way he has talked to Kylo Ren in these first two movies is ridiculous. You know, he talks down to him like he's an equal. You know, I know people are like, well, that's an arrogant sort of. No, he doesn't fear. He does not fear.
He doesn't.
You know.
Well, and I think a lot of that is because Snoke was around. And I'll tell you this, I read, you know, that Vader series that the new run that I'm still trying to finich, and I know it's taken a year now, it seems, but I read the 2 annuals that line has released, and I read them with Michael Moore and his buddy Connor on their podcast.
Yeah.
And there's a great scene with Tarkin and him talking to Vader. Vader actually goes to what's the planet with the tower on Rogue One? Why am I forgetting what that is?
Oh my gosh, why would you ask me that fast? The planet.
I forget. I can't remember what the
you
planet
just asked me too fast.
Well,
I'll look it up.
He goes there. Vader goes to the planet.
Scarif. I have to look it up.
There you go.
Sorry.
He goes to Scarif and is looking for he's looking for the plans for the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's trying to get an idea of what the Emperor is up to building and stuff like that. Vader does.
Oh, Vader goes there?
Vader does. And
Vader's not in the know on that?
No.
What?
I know. It's mind-blowing. We'll read it together.
Okay.
And Tarkin shows up. He's like, Vader, I didn't expect you here. What are you doing here? You don't have authorization to see this. Like, Tarkin's talking to him like this.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking down to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he knows he has the ear of the Emperor.
I get you. Yep.
The Emperor has his back. He also has Vader's back, but the Emperor says, you listen to Tarkin now. He literally tells him that. Like, you report to him.
Right.
So that was a very interesting moment, and I feel like you had that in The Force Awakens, and even a little bit in the beginning of The Last Jedi, but when Snoke's gone, like,
I know.
he attempts, like, Hux attempts to kill Kylo. Remember, he pulls for his blaster?
And that's kind of cool.
I was like, yeah.
Wow.
Give it a shot. In that moment, I wish he would have tried to pull it, and then Kylo just chokes him and kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Just kill him right there.
Mm-hmm. Because I just
my
don't know.
Empire now.
It's almost turned into, and I know it's maybe this is Disney or whatever, but it was scary when Darth Vader started to force choke somebody.
Yeah.
When Kylo Ren's just slashing at a computer and everyone's kind of freaking out, it's comedy.
Yeah.
It turned into, it was comic. It was sort of, now there are moments where he is super intense and he's like pounding his fist into that helmet and having some serious moments. But it's like, you almost want him to go full dark side, and you want people almost like when Vader's he's in his chamber and his helmet's off, and people come in there to speak with him. They are scared out of their minds, and so you kind of want that with Kylo Ren. When you go to approach him, especially with bad news. Now that one guy did a decent job. Yeah. In The Force Awakens, he was super scared to go report some. Yeah. So that was good, but I think you need more of that. You might even need more of that from Hux, quite honestly.
Well, yeah, but don't you think? And once again, when Kylo is choking, or when he throws Hux, they use it as a comedic moment again, and the guy taking orders is like, "Yes, sir," like firing on it, and like that takes away from him taking ownership as supreme leader and shutting Hux up. That's why I think that could have been a moment where he just is like, "This is my first order," chokes him out, kills him. Then everyone's like, "Holy cow!" Like that guy may have let Snoke die, but like he's in charge now.
Right,
I ain't messing with him.
Right.
I just that was such a missed opportunity in my eyes. Even if he fails with Luke Skywalker, still I get that, but like let him have that moment. He has to have such a moment in this new movie. I don't know that he needs to be villainous.
Well, do you know the one way I think in which Hux, and I think this is going to happen in the movie, is he's going to try to explain the throne room, and I think he may try to turn people against Kylo and say there's more there. I think he might try to say, like paint a picture or even, undermine Kylo in that way. And if he had enough people on his side that he could actually oppose him and depose him early on or something, that'd be interesting. And then he's just a Dark Lord out there with his Knights of Ren. Yeah, that'd be different. That'd be very different.
And I think if we're trying to push out this trilogy to make more movies after 9, then I think that could be something that's plausible. But I'm just like, there's so much to wrap up into this, and in my eyes, like, he needs to become the big baddie, and someone undermining him just further prolongs that happening. And that's why, like, he just needed to take charge of it more in The Last Jedi and become the supervillain. Because if we're going to get backstory from Snoke, and then, like, Hux has this, like, devious plan, it's just like, who is the main villain here? Who is the Resistance trying to take down? I mean, I don't know. Man. Yeah. I've never been so unsure, and I know we had certainties when we were discussing episode 8 and we were way off, but like I felt certain about some things. But this is just like, I have no idea.
I know. It's crazy. All right, wait. We got some more things we want to talk about concerning episode 9 here. So
yeah.
Let's move on down here to our ponderings.
Yeah.
Some pondering with Kenobi.
I don't want to postpone the first for the first item there, but we might have to push it down a little bit or hold off once again.
Sure.
I want to discuss it last week, but
that's okay. Yeah,
we could just kind of continue that conversation and what we were talking about, and kind of bring in this report. Not even a report; it was an interview that Bob Iger did with the Hollywood Reporter, saying that we can expect a Star Wars slowdown. And he's saying, like, I'll read you the direct quote. He says that he made the timing decision, like, for Solo to be released. And as I look back, I think I made a mistake. I take the blame. We did a little too much too fast. That we can expect to slow down, but they're certainly not killing off Star Wars. I think that they're holding back on making some decisions. I don't think they've actually canceled any ideas. I think there's probably still an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie ready to be produced, but they're just taking a second, taking a breath, like we said, to just say, let's talk about this for a bit. We don't need to be releasing all this crap like Marvel's doing, saying we're going to do this, this, and this. Like, you've tried that, and it didn't work.
Yep.
You tried to say we're going to do Rogue One, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and then there's going to be this other, and there's going to be a Yoda movie. It didn't work.
Right.
You just need to take one at a time. There needs to be one creative group for a installment of Skywalker movies. If we're going to do them, they need to write them. And then the standalones have been, other than Solo, I mean, Rogue One was successful. You can have separate writers. You can have separate directors. Cool. That's fine. but there has to be some continuity with a franchise saga. It just has to.
Yeah.
If that's going to be Rian Johnson and his trilogy, cool. Just stick to it. Just stick to it and be careful about it. And I think that's what they're saying here. It's what we expected.
Yeah. Do you know what I think they're saying?
Come on. Star Wars is dead.
I think what they're saying. First of all, I'm glad that he said that timing decision was his.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people don't know and understand, you know, how the decisions are made. Yeah. And there's all this hate going towards Kathleen Kennedy and different things. And I know she's a part of some of those decisions and has conversations and stuff. But when the top dog comes out and says, you know, that was on me.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I respect that.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
But what I think is happening, Mike, is that you had mentioned that Episode 9 might be 2 movies. Right?
I'm going to take the credit because no one else was talking about a 2-part Episode 9 installment. Nobody was.
Right.
Months ago, we were. We've said it. It could happen, and you may be very right. That could be what they're setting us up for.
I think they might be saying. I mean, JJ might have said, "Hold on here, guys. Like, I can only tell half this story in this movie. You know, like I have a story to tell, and I can only do half of it here." And that would be the biggest shocker, you know, we've ever seen. Because Mike, now, and I've actually rethought this. I've been like, I don't know if I like that, but just because it's still Episode 9, it just has 2 different parts to it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's still the same. You know, does that make sense? It's still the same story. You know, and so if it's the same story, then I feel like I'm okay with it. It's not like a separate movie that happens 5 years later. It's like no, we're still telling the same story. Yeah. And there's just more to be told here. So So I think that's one thing. Part 2 is, I think if that's not the case and they just wrap up Episode 9, it's done. It's epic. It's cool. It's awesome. I think what they're saying is, what are we doing with the Skywalker saga?
I don't think they have any idea.
I don't think they have any. And I sort of think before you do all this other stuff, you might want to figure that out. You know, you might want to figure out where, and maybe they have. I don't mean to be arrogant there. Maybe they've got some of that figured out, and that's part of this process. But what is the plan? I know Daisy has said she's only signed on for 3 movies. All those guys have said that. That's cool, awesome. Yeah. But so I don't know. Do you end it there? Because can you do any movie past that timeline? Can you go on with books moving forward? You know, past episode 9 is, because are you going to get into trouble? You know, just like they did with Legends, where everyone wrote a bunch of stories past Episode 6, and we all fell in love with them, and we said, "Cool, let's make movies out of those." And George Lucas, I guarantee you. And he has even come out and said he would have had to wipe the slate clean. Yeah. You know, not that he wouldn't have that he didn't like some of those ideas and stuff, but like it's his story to tell. So
we haven't seen anything past what the installments, the current Skywalker installments have given us. So I like what you're saying. It's good because don't tap. I don't care if it's another planet. Well, no one knows what's going on at that time, and they don't either. So that's why it hasn't been done. But I like what you're saying. They're probably putting a hold on these standalone movies because they're not driving the real revenue. I mean, Rogue One did well, but like, what brings people to Star Wars movies is that Skywalker saga.
You're darn right. That is it, man.
So they may be saying
that's Star Wars.
We bit off more than we could chew. We're gonna make those more purposeful, and with more time we can do that rather than just. I enjoy Solo. I do. I don't think it was absolutely necessary, but take more time with a standalone. Make it more meaningful. Make it tie in more with this stuff. Like Marvel does with an Ant-Man or with a one of the smaller movies. Do that, but give the saga the attention that it deserves, and to think that could end soon saddens the crap out of me.
Right.
but they've kind of written themselves into this like no one knows what to expect now. So it's like, and I don't think they did in the original movies either, but like,
right. But those have the most anticipation, you know. So I actually thought, I mean, I was sort of like, well, you know, George intended it to be 9, so they're going to end with 9. It's now Disney's, and if Disney wanted to do this, then you do episode 9, you wrap up those legacy characters. You know, they're bringing Lando back, Billy D. They're bringing, you know, they're going to use Carrie Fisher's voice or something in some way, and they're going to have Luke Skywalker there. So, you know, they're going to wrap this thing up. It's going to be epic, but what are you going to do afterwards? And I really think, like, if all of a sudden you just go crazy with these standalones and they just bomb, not that they will, but, like, you sort of have a formula here. You know what sells. You know that the saga sells. You know that it does well. And so, and that it probably always will do well. I don't know that you just slap slap Star Wars on something and it's going to be fantastic. You know,
and that was their mistake from the beginning. I think they thought that, and that's why they said, we're going to give you a Yoda movie, we're going to give you a Solo movie, we're going to give you a Rogue One movie, and people are going to go watch it, and they are. Kind of maybe not so much with Solo, but this, like, The Last Jedi, divisive, made a crap ton of money. Episode 9 is going to make a crap ton of money, and that is going to, just from a business perspective, drive them to continue that saga in whatever direction it goes. But it's just like that's the Star Wars story, man. Like, and if you do a good enough job cultivating these new characters, which they got away from a little bit from The Last Jedi, I think The Force Awakens did a great job. The movie was a bit confused at times, and you're wondering, is this supposed to be like a shout out to original Star Wars with bringing all these legacy characters, or are we building new characters? It could get confusing at times, but I thought it did a decent job of making me care about Rey, care about Finn, care about Poe, for the little bit we got with him. Like, they did a good job. And then in the next one, I mean, we see a little Poe development. Rey, I needed more Rey in that movie, man. I needed her to be the hero. I needed Luke to be the hero, but she had to be an equal hero. And in that end, it did not feel like that. She is the savior for the new generation, and I was not getting that from that movie. Finn, completely written out. You had to cultivate these characters more, and they have to do that. Like, I hope Carrie Fisher gets her due in this movie, and I hope Luke has a really important part. But to continue on with the saga, saga right now, the saga, you have to build these newer characters up more. They just have to, man. I'm scared. Honestly, I'm scared.
I know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm actually kind of happy to see this. Like, I'm happy to see that there is a slowdown, that we're taking our time. Because if anything, even if it is a standalone, there can be more build up for it. There can be more time, hopefully, for everybody to, not that you want a whole bunch of people in there, but you want it to be, man, I like, you can put, they're doing a good job of layering, I think, things. So it's like, you got a lot of stuff in there for just your average fan who wants to come and watch it, enjoy it as a good movie, okay? And then you've got that, like, well, there's the deeper connections. There's some deeper meaning. This connects back to all this stuff we learned about in Clone Wars, or, you know, Rebels and so on. Like, when they start making those connections, it's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And really, it's the connections to the films that are most important. So we'll see. I don't know. Hopefully, maybe at Celebration they'll give us an update on, like, a timeline or, you know, something, and kind of figure out where we're going. But it's going to be all this prep for episode, 9. I mean, we don't really know we have nothing slated for after episode 9, correct?
No,
nothing.
No, I mean,
not a thing.
I mean, you have the
all those rumors
show. You have the Rian Johnson trilogy, which he doesn't mention here, but
they're slowing down.
They're slowing down. But he's still doing that, though. He's still doing that.
Mike, I honestly, when I saw this, I said to myself that even if he does come back, I know they said, like, we'll just send him somewhere in the galaxy and he can do something kind of cool and fun because we like who he is and all that kind of stuff. I think they might say, we're continuing the saga and you're going to write it and you're going to direct it, and we want you to have a whole arc to work with, a 3 movies, situation here or something like that, So
they could.
I don't know. I know that they've said different things, but I think there's got to be some rethinking in, like, what they're doing, unless they go back and they're doing an Old Republic series, which, cool. But they got to give him some timeline. We have to know, where it's going to be. He's not going to be writing at the same time, the episode 7 and 8 are going on in a different part of the galaxy. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's got to be.
And he can't go, and he can't go forward.
No.
And he can't go at the same time, so he could fill in between 6 and 7, or he could go before episode 1. And I think that's about it.
It's got to be uncharted territory. They cannot. Like, I enjoy The Last Jedi, but there's no way in my eyes that they would let him continue on with the Skywalker legacy. I want to see it, I want to see it, but I don't. I think they're going to put him in uncharted territory. Get like Old Republic. That's perfect because that's where everyone I think could say. But I think give him another chance. Here's a
people
play
are thinking, a sandbox, for him.
Sandbox. Play with it, and I think people will enjoy that.
Right. So I think what are their names? The HBO guys, right?
Yeah. Oh God,
a lot of people thought, that they were going to be in the working in the Old Republic. So it's like, what are they working on?
Yeah.
So I think everything's got to slow down, and they may have projects in development, but one of those, like, something's going to happen where some big name person's going to come in here. One, whether it's Rian Johnson or that person, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them is thrown into the next like the saga, and starts kind of working in, like, once 9 is finished, take a break for 3-5 years, whatever, and come back to it. Maybe they continue right on, Mike.
That'd be sick.
Maybe they just keep going.
Maybe that's when Kylo's refined, and that's when he's super evil.
Could be.
And he has his own minions. Man.
Yeah.
An even more mature Adam Driver as Kylo Ren as the Master. Holy crap. I want to see it. I hope we do. I hope we get to see it.
Right.
Gosh. Interesting ponderings, my friend.
I know.
As that first pondering we had on the notes, we've got to sit down for a good hour and talk about that one.
That's fine.
Bring some good reference material.
We'll come back to that. Yep.
And I will just give a little sneak about what that's going to be. I've been wondering in my rewatch of Rebels, trying to get to that last season rewatch. Ezra Bridger and his force powers are never questioned. No one online ever questions how he became a Jedi so fast or where his force powers came from. But the moment Rey pulls a lightsaber and starts slashing people and owning them, everyone's just like, how did she become so powerful so quick? So that's the discussion I want to have with you, my friend.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to reference the material.
Okay.
And we're going to ask people why. Why is that not something? That's a direct comparison. I mean, it needs to be discussed. I put it off for a couple weeks, but we're going to make time for that in the next segment. But just a little teaser for people to think about when we discuss it next, to provide their
something
own thoughts.
Something to think about. Leave some comments about it, perhaps, and let us know maybe your rationale as to why that may be. So.
Absolutely. But my friend, you still reading the Legends material?
Yeah, and I actually am going to save some of that for our next podcast as well. But the only thing I want to mention there is, like, it's just amazing to me as I go back and read Legends. And I grew up with Legends. I've said this before. Read a lot of these books, and it's so funny just the way when you're a kid that you read things, because like I read. I think I've said this before, The Rule of Two, but I'd never read The Path to Destruction, So I read the second book, but I never read the first book,
Yeah.
And now I've gone back and read the first book. I'm like, what was I doing, just crazy how you miss things and you don't really, whatnot. So like, I had actually, read the second book of Legacy of the Force because it had Boba Fett on the cover. You know what I'm saying? So like I didn't even realize that I read it. Cool book, right? Yeah, hadn't read the first one. Same situation, and then so going back and reading that was a lot of fun, and something I haven't really had a chance to get to is Fate of the Jedi, which is coming up, and then I eventually want to get back and reread the Bounty Hunter series and the Thrawn trilogy, and one thing I'm shying away from actually is the New Jedi Order, which is just absolutely crazy, and I might get into X-Wing Squadron again. That might be kind of cool. There's a lot of stuff there.
A lot of books.
So, it all kind of comes together in Legacy of the Force. So I think it's a good place to start if you're wondering, if you're looking for a good Legends book to look at. And Mike, I'll just tell you this: I forgot how many Force projections take place in Legacy of the Force.
It's an old trick. That people forgot about.
That they forgot. I honestly totally forgot about the amount of times in which Force projection is used.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's an old trick, but it checks out.
But Disney's just making up Force powers, though. As that they're just making stuff up left and right, right?
Right.
Writing in cheats, just
Right.
No, we're talking. This is Legends material, people. They've been doing it for years.
Right. I know. Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know, man. It's something where I'm intrigued, and I'm going to talk more about that later. And we've got, like we've said before, Mike and I are working on round table discussions with people. I'm working on possibly starting that book club, and so really looking forward to all of that. And there's just a lot of stuff that they are drawing from Legends, and so I want people to know that I think they're doing their homework. They got a good story group there taking a look at these things. So that's really all I want to say about it. I think the last thing, if we have time, did you want to talk about that last point?
I think we need to. Or do we want to save it?
It could be a long discussion, my friend. I feel like we've talked about it a lot.
It could. We should probably wait. We should probably wait. But
because we're not breaking news there. We're just
no. It's all over the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and just know, guys, that here on Rebel Watch, we're on the lookout for things, and we just spoilers ahead. Okay, so next couple episodes, just be ready. We're talking some spoiler stuff for episode 9. You're like, wait, what? Seriously? Already? Yes, we are.
Dude, we are serious. You might mistake the episode, as an episode from Mike Zero,
right?
But it will be, in fact, Rebel Watch. Right, and this is Mike Canterbury.
That's right.
But we're gonna check out some supposed, we'll call them leaks, as they look legitimate to me. Some photos they're going on the interwebs. We'll kind of try to break those down a little bit. Nothing too revealing, but also a bit revealing. You know what I'm saying? So we'll break that down a little more, and we'll definitely give you folks an alert that we're gonna talk about some potential spoilers, since we typically just offer speculation, but this in fact may spoil a movie, so we'll give you a little heads up.
Well, sometimes I think our speculation is spoiler because we know so much, right?
And they end up rewriting the film,
right? We basically people have come back to us and said, wow, did you guys contribute to The Last Jedi?
Well, we contributed to the story being changed.
Yeah,
and we actually had someone write us and say, thank you, Rebel Watch, for ruining, the new trilogy for me, because you and your speculation was so spot on that they had to hire Rian Johnson to completely rewrite the story.
I know. So it's ridiculous.
I know.
We apologize, but we don't apologize. Okay.
Nope.
So,
but yeah, that's the show. That's where we're at, okay. And I mean, like you said, we got some fun stuff upcoming, and so hopefully some lighthearted stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So you guys stay tuned. Check us out there on Facebook. Facebook.com/Rebel Watch. Shoot us an email at rebelwatchpodcasting@gmail.com, and we'll keep in touch with you guys and look forward to some of those upcoming events that we have going on. Hopefully we can get some of those to be more virtual and have some participation, from listeners and things. We also would like you to upcoming here. Maybe it's playing right now. I have no idea. But we got a special little outro. I mean, Ez has been working on some projects, and while I was working on that secret project, I went ahead and got a bunch of new stuff for that project and for Rebel Watch, and it just keeps coming in day by day. So I'm super pumped about some of the new little jingles and designs and things that we have coming out. So a little new outro for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. And stay tuned. We'll be back with more Star Wars and more speculation on Episode 9. And as always, may the Force be with you.